Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, here on another beautiful day in Kernersville, North Carolina, the tech capital of the world. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? You're in lockdown still.
I am. I was just jamming to that music. I changed the music up today.
That is good. I liked it. I was
liked
getting
it
my
too.
jam on. I don't want to show my dance moves to the nation, though.
Not yet. We're not ready for that.
I'm not ready for that. So,
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, we get our music from Soundstripe, and they have good stuff on there. We have a lot of back catalog, so I like it. There's some good stuff.
I guess if I get a Crocs deal like yesterday, someone Crocs signs us to a contract, I'll do a dance jig on TV then. You know.
Oh, okay. I'm writing this down. That's gonna be a thing. That's now a promise.
Officially sponsored by Crocs, though.
Okay, so. That's it. Not just what I suggested yesterday. A pair of old Crocs with a sticker on them. That doesn't count.
Resell them.
That's funny.
All right.
That's super funny. So I just want to say one thing before we get going.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for coming back on again. We have, I don't know, 20 people already here, and I'm sure it's the same, or a lot of the same guys that keep coming back. So thank you so much for supporting us, for coming back, for liking our stuff, for subscribing. We appreciate it. Our live stuff over the last few days has had 100% likes on it, which we normally get one dislike, but I think that guy went away. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think he went away.
So that's nice. We haven't had a dislike. Yeah, we haven't had a dislike, so that's awesome.
No, I would say this too. Like, you know, when we started this, we just started out of the blue. We had no idea live would work or not work, or no one would show up. And I feel like we have like 100 or so friends we just hang out with lunch with, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I like hanging out with these guys. Yeah. It's fun.
Like,
we do it because we still like doing it. Yeah, exactly. We don't have to do this. We like doing it, so we like hanging out with you guys. So yes, thank you so much for all the support. We really appreciate it.
Okay. And then we do have to make one programming note. We did say I was going to do some live coding today, and I'm not. I'm doing it tomorrow. So
tomorrow's the day. You needed an extra little bit of prep time, right? So
I need a little more prep time. Live coding is an art form, and so like I was just not feeling too comfortable live coding. I've done a lot of stuff on Camtasia, but you know you can stop and start. I want to make sure that we can.
You have to at least looked at it once, right?
Yeah, I've looked at it more than once. You know, so but I think it's cool. I think it's I'm trying to make it not too complicated, but I am. That's another thing. I added some features to it last night, so like I'm adding more features to it. So I think it'd be a pretty cool project. And what I'll give you at the end of it is where you should take this next. Like you can take this as a jumping off point and how you can turn this into a full-blown project. You know, so that's what we'll discuss tomorrow.
Super cool. Here's the important question. Did you give the dog a mask?
My dog doesn't need a mask. So I'm trying to code now. I'm out of Photoshop now. So like, I need to move on.
You moved on. Otherwise you'll just keep going back and fixing this thing forever.
Yeah. I've picked my fonts and I got my dog, my hero dog.
That's funny. Mr. Cartman says, hello world. Yeah, programming. Hello. I get it. Hi.
Console log, hello world. Yeah.
There you go. John says mask is a feature. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Mask is a feature.
Yeah. Well, I'll release the AI, the Illustrator file, and you guys can put a mask.
And you can put a mask on it.
So like it's not like it's mission critical to me or kind of like trademarked. It's just a dog with a cape.
That's funny. Before we jump into the topic today too, I don't know if you saw this, but we're coming up on May the 4th, which obviously I'm a Star Wars fan. I have Star Wars.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I have Disney Plus. So I saw the news they were putting out Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus. And I was like, awesome, great Star Wars news. You can watch them all. You can binge the entire like movie catalog on May the 4th.
And we can debate which order we should watch them in.
You can, or if you should watch some at all. You can. We could totally talk about that for days.
So we shouldn't watch the prequels. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. People love those. Some people love them.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Jar Jar cut, maybe. I don't know.
Jar Jar is
there's
Darth Sith.
Yeah. So there's that. But people love Jar Jar these days, so that's okay. So there's that, the good news. But then, like right on the heels of that, Disney came out and said, okay, so on May the 4th, if you use the hashtag on Twitter, May the 4th, we're claiming rights to that, and we're going to own that.
Okay.
And we can use it for any promotional like of our wishes. If we want to put it on TV, your tweet, we can put it on TV. It's like, wow, that's kind of nuts. They didn't start this, by the way. It's not like they invented the May the 4th thing. They just
They didn't even
co-opted
invent hashtags.
right.
Twitter's platform.
Well, they didn't even come up with like that hashtag themselves. They're just like, they co-opted it. Fans did.
What's going to happen? Is someone going to come out with a snarky hashtag?
Know.
Sort
Probably.
of May the 4th. Mostly May the 4th.
Maybe. What's going to happen is Disney's going to use one and somebody is going to have to like push back against it. Yeah. But is somebody going to? Probably not. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Don't mess with them.
Adrian asks, who loves Jar Jar these days? I know people.
You know what, though? I saw an interview with the actor, and I felt bad for him.
Yeah, and that's why. That's why people like Jar Jar. I'm not a Jar Jar hater. I think he's
like
he's a nice guy.
Talk about his role, and you realize, like, wow, that does cut close to home when people just hated you. You know, like,
yeah.
You know, I'm just out there trying to. He's just, you know, he's like everyone else trying to earn a living, man. Yeah, I'm good. I would do Jar Jar if they would call me.
Exactly. Hey, and Mark says he likes the actor too. So I 100% agree. Yeah, super nice guy, and didn't deserve the
interview. It's a recent interview. I cannot remember his name, but I watched it and it was pretty interesting. Hear his take on it. You know, people hated it.
Yep, definitely. And Simon, I'm jealous, man. You building the Millennium Falcon? Is that like the 8,000 piece one?
Yeah,
it's like $800. Yeah, because my wife won't let me buy it.
Hey, Simon, there's a guy out there called Andrew Kramer that does a lot of After Effects work. And like 2 years ago, he did a Millennium Falcon thing. And he built the Millennium Falcon and then he destroyed it. You know.
Really?
Yeah. It was kind of funny, though. They act like they dropped it and it came apart. It was kind of funny. Andrew Kramer, if it's still on his channel. So
I'm sure it is. He has a lot of good content.
Yeah. If you're into After Effects or video production. He does a lot of stuff too. Like he works a lot with J.J. Abrams. So he did like the titles for Star Trek and he's done some stuff for Star Wars on the Abrams ones.
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely good at what he does.
Yeah.
Anthony said, I just joined. Can we submit questions? Yeah, go for it. Put them in the...
Just did, Anthony. Your one question, man. You used it up.
That's it. He's done. That's it. Yes, you can.
No, we love questions. We want to talk. We just want to have a chat about different things and see where it goes.
So let's answer a question before we talk about what we're going to talk about for our topic too. Didi says, I have a software engineer friend who suggested software testers also have a lot of job opportunities and to go that route. Isn't it testers still need to know coding or languages? What do you think?
So it depends on what they're doing, but yeah, software testers in general do a lot of scripting and coding, and so a lot of, especially in the web world. There's tools that you have to write code to make it automate the things that you want it to do.
Can definitely be a gateway for getting in, right? We've seen people go the software testing route or the tester route and then become developers.
Right. It's all about commitment to craft. We're going to talk about that today, but like get in any way you can. And then like once you're working somewhere and you're a tester, but you show that you can code, you can deliver stuff, they're going to move you to software engineering. I mean, they'll find another tester, but it's hard to find reliable employees that know how to code that get things done.
Yeah.
So like look at the testing platforms out there. There's JavaScript and there's a lot of them that use other languages. So
I think also, plus as a tester, you have contact with the developers too, right? So it's like you can develop that sort of like that relationship with them, and it might be one of those things where you do good work and they see that and you're like, oh, okay, this guy's going above and beyond, and he can code too. You get promoted.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I like it.
Yep.
That's a good plan. All right, cool.
Let's see. Let's see. We'll do one more question, then we'll jump into our thing here. Our buddy Stian said, weird question. Thoughts on Stack Overflow on resume if you have a lot of reputation? Oh, okay. So if you're a big Stack Overflow user, should you put that on your resume?
Sure.
I would say yes.
I would say why wouldn't you? I mean, like, unless you...
Same for anything, right?
Unless you yell at people when you're answering questions. You come across like a jerk.
This is true. If you're grumpy coder on Stack Overflow, don't put that on your resume.
Maybe I don't know your Stack Over thing. But yeah, if you have a good rep out there, anything you can do to show expertise, I think that's great.
Yep, definitely. Adam's back, which is cool. Thanks for coming on again, Adam. We'll see you later because you have a demo to do, which is cool. His brother Broken is a game tester for EA. There you go. And he makes healthcare software now. So yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
Because that's like everyone's like, when you're a kid as a video game player, that's your dream job, right? Games tester. You think like, man, hold on, they're gonna pay me to play games.
And you can see Adam's brother went on to make healthcare software, so it's not exactly what you think.
It's not exactly what yeah, exactly. I'm sure
it's playing EA Battlefront or something, So.
Yeah, I'm sure it's relatively boring once you get into it. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so our topic for today. We're talking about where to start, sort of, I guess, really how to break in and then what to do that and how and what to do after that. So what's your first sort of, I guess, the first piece of advice around where to start?
Okay, so let's say that we're just talking to the group out here listening today, and that you look at software engineering, you're like, man, I really wish I could get a job doing that. That's my goal. I don't know how to code, and so but I don't even know where to start, because I ask a coder and he tells me I need to learn like 82 languages, and especially someone that's 20 years in, they're going to tell you all of these kind of very difficult things that you need to master before you have a job. And if we already explained, like, hey, software tester is one of those things where you can break in with. So what we recommend here at CoderFounder is pick the job first. Before you decide on a language, before you do anything, just pick the job that you want. So that could be web development, that could be mobile development, that could be game development, that could be desktop, embedded, if you want to work on a set-top box for Sony or something like that. You pick that job first before you start learning.
So this involves looking on like Indeed and like looking on Monster or whatever your equivalent is in your country and finding out like what jobs are out there.
Right. Now, what we're going to tell you is we've done the research on that, and we're going to tell you that web development is easier to break into than the other ones because there's more jobs. Right. But you can pick mobile first and not follow the Coder Foundry plan and say, I want to be a mobile dev because I want to build mobile applications. And that's a perfectly logical choice. Just know that there's probably less of those positions this year as we sit than there are for web dev divisions. So if you're watching this in the future, do your research and figure out if you're trying to break in. I'm just trying to break in. I just want a paycheck. I want a job and I want to code. Then pick the most in-demand job out there. We think right now that's web development. Full stack web development.
And that brings up a good point too. It might not be where you want to end up. You might not want to do web dev. That might not be your dream job. And the company that you take your first job at probably isn't going to be your dream company.
Right, exactly.
But you got to start somewhere. You got to put something on your resume.
Just notice, like Adam's brother started as a game tester. Now he's making healthcare software. That's a logical progression. And if we could talk to Adam, I would guarantee that the reason he's making healthcare software is he get paid more. And so that's how he's managing his career, where he broke in some way. And once you break in, it's kind of like what they say in the NFL. Once you're an NFL head coach, you're always a head coach. And these guys get recycled through. Once you can put software developer on your resume, it's so much easier to get a job. Like like recruiters call you 3 or 4 times a week. And everyone we bring on here to talk about it, they know they get, recruiting emails, So like we were talking in our team meeting this morning, I got a recruiter email to be an electrician. So I don't know why they thought I was going to be a lead electrician, but but
it's a little off mark.
But even that, I get recruiting emails just because I have .Net on my LinkedIn profile. Right. Even though I'm running a company, I'm not going to be a coder, but still get those. Yeah.
Yep. So first step to breaking in, choosing the job first.
Right.
So the
next step goes hand in hand with the step one. So like step one, so we pick, let's say that you're going to pick web dev. You're going to follow the Coder Foundry plan. You may not come to our boot camp, but you're going to say, I'm going to pick web dev. I believe what Bobby's saying. When you pick web dev, full stack web dev, that limits the amount of stuff that you have to know.
Right.
So if you pick mobile dev, you're going to pick Xamarin, React, or Flutter. And so that tells you what you need to learn. So what a lot of people do when they're trying to break in is they're confused with what to learn. So they're out there learning Python with no job requirement in mind.
Yeah, or they're software development's this giant field, isn't it?
Told them that Rust was easy to learn, or you're learning Ruby because someone told you, so you didn't pick a job. So when you pick a job, then that limits the choices that you need to learn to get your first job. So in full stack web dev, that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is the first thing that you need, the front end part of it. And then a back end language like C# and SQL. that C# could be replaced with Java too, because it could be C# or Java. So when we talked to Scott Hamson last week, he was saying that, yeah, learn JavaScript and then some kind of systems programming language. And he's dead on about that. Like the front end is important in web dev. The back end, like Java and C#, can be used for Windows, desktop, mobile. And so like, if you know those two things, then you can easily translate that into another role that you may like better.
Right.
So, you know,
right. And of course, having it all sort of compartmentalized in a stack too, with the tooling and everything, just helps you to concentrate on, you know, on where you're supposed to go and not get distracted with all these other things. Because software development, when you view Google software development or programming languages, you're right, it's hundreds. It's a massive field. Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah. It's difficult to try and figure out where to start.
You know, instead of like looking at it as daunting, look at that as like, that is the opportunity where I can literally, like, once I break in, I can move over and do different things. I've worked on engines. I've worked on like locating. I've worked, you know, for like people out there digging and burying fiber. You know, I've worked on insurance. I mean, I've worked on it all, you know, like everything, everywhere at one point in time. And so that's what's cool about like coding is they just want to know if you can code. And then not once did they really, once I had my stuff together, did they really ask me like, can I do it or not? They're just trying to figure out like, you know, will you come and help us? You know, stuff like that. So they're desperate, you know, so like, it's good.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do a couple questions here
too.
A
couple of good questions in here. Yeah, I see them coming
question here from, what did I see? Oh, I lost it here. Here we go. John B says, can I leverage 5.5 years with a SaaS company, even if I was not labeled an engineer?
Depends on what you were doing, but I would imagine if you were doing some kind of technical role, you don't have
like anything.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You can leverage anything, right? Yeah.
You know, so like, yeah. The thing is, you can say I worked for 5.5 years for, say, you know, Salesforce, and I was doing Salesforce integrations, and then you can pair that up with a portfolio, and and you can walk right into another job.
Yep, and then go back to Salesforce as a developer.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Because you already have it in there.
Yeah, I think work experience is good. I think you should leverage all your work experience, regardless of what it is. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Francisco says from Portugal. So welcome, Francisco from Portugal. That's awesome. Never been there. Been to Spain, but never Portugal. I want to learn the code, but I find difficult to pay attention to online courses. Yeah. In my country, it doesn't have boot camps. I'm surprised. Somebody hasn't opened one in Portugal. That's interesting.
Low Wagon's not out there. I mean, they're like everywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's online ones too you can look at as well. But yeah, online courses that are self-paced can be kind of tough.
It is tough. You got to find your own motivation, and a lot of times though you can't ask for help, and that's the problem too. Is like trying to like uncover the roadblocks that you run into, and so it's hard. That's why you take some. We'll talk about this in a second. You know, how to use a tutorial and how to graduate your learning. Yeah.
Here's a resume question. I like this one.
Okay.
I have a 2-year gap between my first developer job and the developer job I have now, which I've had since 2015. Should I pretend that the first job did not happen, given the stigma of such a big gap? There's a couple ways. I think there's a couple ways you can do that. So I help the students with the resumes at Coder Foundry. You can either just drop it off if it was irrelevant, or you can make a non-linear resume. You don't have to put the dates on there, or just put years on there, and then it doesn't look as bad. There's a few ways to handle that in terms of the actual resume itself.
And then, Anthony, you're going to have to answer the question eventually if they ask, so come up with a good reason why you were out. I mean, maybe you got sick, or, you know, life happens, man. And so, like, a lot of times you just want to own that, whatever the reason was, but then you got to forecast and talk about the future, what you can do today. It's really not what happened in 2015 for 2 years. I mean, like, maybe you got sick or something happened, or, you know, for whatever reason. We all have, life happens to everyone. And you say, but you tell that employer, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow for you. This is how I'm going to do it. So, and then you can show them your work, your portfolio, and your experience.
And also, that is 5 years ago too. So you have a 5-year work history.
You've already overcome the gap, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now that I read it closer.
Yeah, it doesn't.
He's had it since 2015. So that's
a long time.
Years, man. No one cares what happened.
No, that's a long time. You should look at something else if you had a job since 2015.
I mean, if you went and hiked the Appalachian Trail, I mean, like, took a year off. I mean, that's kind of backpacking in England. I don't know. I mean, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Whatever it is, I think that stuff's not as there's not as much of a stigma attached to that these days
Not anymore.
as there used to be.
All right, cool.
Here we go. Mina said, "I'm an automation tester. Is that good to be a full stack developer? What should I do now?" So this is a similar question to what we were talking about before, moving from a tester to being a developer. Make friends with the devs at your company is the first step.
Yeah, so maybe you can get promoted there. I mean, look where you're at, and what I would do is so you're automating testing. I'm assuming you're automating websites, so you're doing scripting there. I haven't done that in a while, so I'm not up to date on like what all the languages of scripting you're using. So it's probably JavaScript of some sort. It could be C#. I don't know. But look at what stack the applications being built in that you're testing, and then build a portfolio around that, and then start showing it to the people you work for to see if you can break in there. And if you can't, show it to another company, and then automating testing plus I'm building projects in full stack. You'll probably get a job. So I don't know exactly where you're at, but
should a follow-up question too: who owns more, developer or tester?
If I had to guess, I would say developer does, but there are like QA managers that do pretty well.
So if you can get up high in the QA ladder, it's going to be good. But
so but both of those jobs pay pretty well. But I'd imagine the developer makes more. So again, you can ask your colleagues and say, "Yo, what are you making?" I know it's not popular, but like,
Just gonna throw this up here too. Andrew said he's thanking Adam for doing his demo yesterday. So that was super cool. And again, I thank you again, Adam. That was super good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Adam, and send Jason a zip file of your bug tracker so we can get it up on Azure. Since you're watching, hopefully they reached out to you this morning. So he needs 30 minutes, so you got to go on at 3. So.
Yeah, John said here too in the same question, unless you're a lead tester or unit testing.
Right.
Yeah. So
every career has its path, and its road to better pay and better position. So you got to start somewhere. So if you're trying to break in, I take that testing role and then, show up every day, work hard, commit to learning new things, and you'll get promoted. Yeah.
Here you go. Jason will be along for this. Send Jason to Portugal. That's funny.
Spain,
we have a European division.
And Spanish or Portuguese, I guess.
It would be Portuguese in Portugal.
Yeah.
We'll send him to Brazil first to practice. And then
we did send him to Canada, though. I don't know.
We did send him to Canada. Yeah, that's the furthest he's been, right?
He was in Canada for 2 weeks in the middle of the winter. So it was awful.
Oh, that's funny.
But he had fun, though. He said he had fun up there.
There you go. Yeah, I like going to Canada. It's fun. Ozzy said, "Hey from Ghana." That's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Ozzy. That's cool.
Ozzy, what's up, man? How you doing? So So one guy had a question. Did he ever say we could submit questions? Did you ever get back?
Oh, I don't know. Let me look. Hold on. Who was that at the very beginning? Somebody asked if I could submit a question. That was way up top there. I was with Finko, who's been on before. So I don't know if he submitted a question or not. But if he's still here, put your question in.
All right. Yeah, we're just giving you a shout out there. Okay.
Here you go. Anthony's gapping his thing. He has no good reason. I quit without anything lined up. Very immature.
Okay.
It happens. Depends on how bad the job was. That you
quit, I can
know
that. I have seen some epic.
We all rage quit things, right?
I've seen some epic rage quits in my time. I've seen the double bird.
Oh, nice.
I've seen someone do the full on Jerry Maguire. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but like,
oh, Willie, is anybody coming with me? I mean, even that.
That just left this company where we were consulting at, and we were just watching it, and we were just like, it's such a bad move.
As everybody's just like, nope, not me. Nope. Like,
so
that's funny.
It's kind of funny though. It was epic. It was epic. I liked it. It was funny.
That is funny. Stan's asking about, imagine you've held a couple of interviews. He talked about your process interviewing and what you look at.
Okay. So the thing that we do here at, so I run Cortex. So when we interview developers for Cortex, we actually mimic that process we do inside of Coder Finder when we're trying to get students ready. But in general, if you came to Cortex to work, I'm going to hand you a project and I'm going to give you a couple of bugs to fix in it. So it's already sort of working. One's a compile issue. One's a, can you add this little feature to it? And then I give that person an hour to 2 hours and they can use whatever resource they want.
Like I say, this is with a machine and it is Googleable, right?
Google, Visual Studio, you can do whatever you want. You can cheat, you can phone a friend. You can do whatever you want to do. And then we come back and you get it working. Then we talk about like things that you've built in the past. And the thing that I look for is if someone says, hey, I worked on this project, I built this, and you can't tell me technically how it worked, I feel like that maybe you were a team member there and you really didn't work on it. So I try to like delve into the technical details of the thing that you built at your last position. So combining that with your ability to fix some simple things, that's kind of how I do it. It's been pretty good. I've hired some good people, and then I have some red flags where I hired some guys that didn't work out, but like that was, but it's on me though. I always feel like it's on me. The other thing too, that if we let someone go here at Cortex and they over interviewed to come into the company, I don't really feel bad about that. If you over interview, but then you really can't code, and you don't feel bad about that. But I do feel bad about, when someone's trying really hard. So usually I feel like I'm a pretty good employer, give lots of rope to lots of people. So, I don't know. But I look at the combination between what you've done, tell me about it at a detailed level, and then fix something for me. And so if you walked in with a portfolio, that would be better, which I don't see many of those still to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the reason we hire a lot of Coder Finder students at Cortex, because I can see what they were doing. So.
Exactly. Okay. Before we do any more questions, let's go back to our thing. We've talked about so where to start, picking up the job first, doing research on that, picking the stack that matches the job. What's the next thing to talk about?
The next thing is, if you're doing, and whatever you're doing, this applies to mobile, web, and desktop, is pick up a design pattern, architectural design pattern. And that's in web world. That's something like MVC, model view controller. If you're on desktop or mobile, that's MVVM, model view model. And the reason you do that is because that's kind of the way the companies are going to do it anyway. And so that's a skill in of itself, learning how all these kind of architectural design patterns work. And when you produce a project written in a design pattern, it makes you look more professional, more pro, instead of you trying to roll your own way of doing something. Yeah.
So you're saying just having it working isn't enough.
Right.
You got to also be able to describe why these things do these certain things. And that's what the pattern lets you do.
Yeah. And then and then understand what the pattern does, what the benefits of it are, like, how it's constructed, how it's architected. So I think that goes a long way in picking a pretty solid, well-adopted design pattern like MVC for web or MVVM for desktop and mobile.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty easy to do.
Yep, definitely. So a couple more comments here too. MSV brother started learning front-end tech after watching our videos. That's awesome.
Awesome.
I love hearing when somebody starts picking up stuff because we suggested something. I think that's super cool.
Listen, I tell this to a lot of people, man. It's like coding I think it's the easiest job to break into, but it's also like one of the most fulfilling jobs, and it pays so well. The thing also about coding is, regardless of where you live, if you get some ingenuity, you can even work in the US without coming here. So I know you guys are out of the country, and I know that if you come with the right consulting company, you can stay in your native country and still work and get the benefit of the US economy. So like, it's so like, there's so much stuff that's offshored. And there's so much stuff that's still even stateside, like just break into coding, man. Like, everything needs to be software driven. So, and don't believe these people who say it's saturated. Like we get that all the time where people say it's saturated.
We get that. Yeah. Usually from Grumpy Coder Guy is what happens.
And I think they're just more like a gatekeeper trying to tell you, not to break in, but it is so far from being saturated. Like I talk about this all the time. Like we'll get a freight delivery and they're still using 3-part carbon paper to give me the bill of lading. And it just tells you like not everything's been coded yet. And then even when in the US here, we've had the COVID outbreaks and everyone, a lot of people got laid off and they're on unemployment lines. And we saw like where you're applying for unemployment, all those systems breaking down because they're on mainframes and COBOL, which tells you that even older systems need to be rewritten. So like there's a lot of re-architecture going on. There's like moving systems from something like COBOL to something else. And then they're just brand new kind of things that haven't been automated yet that people can write code to do. So
definitely. Here we go. Here's a question. I guess Quaja, maybe. Sorry if I mispronounced it. Sorry.
Quaja.
C# programmer, have basic SQL knowledge due to certain genuine reason, a gap of 4 years. In the meantime, I have tried to learn Python, DevOps, and now what should I do?
So if you know C#, build some projects in C# with something like any framework in SQL, and then shoot for a company that's doing C#, or take your DevOps skills and show people how to do that. So you demonstrate that to somebody, or your Python skills and demonstrate those to somebody.
Yeah, and you need to leverage your experience, right? Leverage your portfolio, not your resume.
Right. And I think I can do it.
Yep.
And then just because you had a 4-year gap, just because whatever reason, I mean, it can be life, sickness, health. We've had people that have been incarcerated. They did something wrong, and and so they had a 5-year gap or a 10-year gap because they've been in jail. Yep. That doesn't mean life is over. That means that you can start again, and that and coding is that one thing that where there's so much need for it that they'll overlook certain things. But you can explain away your 4-year gap, but then quickly move over to the things that you can do right now, and so like and that way you can get a job again. I think it would work. I wouldn't quit.
Yeah, definitely don't quit. And look for a recruiter too, because they might be able to help you with getting past the resume screen apart.
Right. So that's kind of cool. I think so.
I don't know what context this comment was in. It might have been answer to that last question we were just talking about, but bug tracker, boy, I like that. That's good.
Bug tracker, boy. Is that boy?
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I like that.
All right. Cool.
Abel, thanks for the question. As a college student seeking internships and jobs, what skills, language, project experience do you look for or recommend learn to build?
So look at what they taught you in college and try to build projects on that. And then you're going to want to match your skills, languages, and projects that line up well with internships. And make sure if you're in the US, don't take an unpaid internship. Unless you really think that's going to like move you to the top of the heap in 6 months and you can get a job. So I can't speak for the rest of the world and how that works. But in the US, I would never work for free if I knew how to code. I don't think you should. I don't think, unless you just want to do it for your mom or something, do something, help someone out, but like as a job. So like I would take my skills and languages and projects that I built in college, put those on a portfolio, publish them somewhere, and then show them to people that are using those skills and languages in their job. So if it's C#, look for C# roles. If it's Java, look for Java roles. And then keep learning how to build things. And if you see a lot of things in your area, say like in C# or ASP.NET, then start looking at that. You should be able to pick it up after leaving college. If you're a CS student, you should be able to pick up another language pretty quick.
And maybe Michael's comment applies there too. Bug tracker boy, same thing.
Bug tracker boy.
Roman asks, different roadmap, or is there any roadmap? That's sort of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so
to a full stack developer.
Yeah, so you've picked your job. Yeah, so full stack web dev. Then pick a stack, and then so on the .NET stack for us is JavaScript, SQL, HTML, CSS, those 5 things, and then interview for positions that use C#. Or pick Java, like something like Swing or Spring MVC, and then interview for people that are doing Java as full stack web dev.
This is why the first step in this is important, to do your research first to find out what stacks and what technologies companies are using, then learn that. Right. Because otherwise, if you, like you said at the beginning, you run off and learn something like Python and Python isn't big in your market. Now what are you going to do with it? Well,
yeah, exactly. So and then you got to build projects with it. So if you're building websites with Python and no one is, then that's not a good thing.
Yep.
But I mean, that same holds true for things like React. So our Angular, the full stack JavaScript stacks out there. That's the same thing. If you build something in React, show React to everybody that you can that'll listen and see it.
Yeah, so it reminds me of the other day we were talking about, or just earlier talking about Lowe's hardware.
Yeah, Lowe's hardware. So at Code-A-Founder, we were reaching out and trying to find employers for our students, and we reached out to Lowe's Hardware. And this isn't, I know you guys may laugh at me, but I'm not really slanting C# at this point, but they're a Java shop. So they don't want to look at Code-A-Founder grads because they have C#. And while people may look at that as a negative, I'm going to run out and learn Java. No, what we're saying is you got to line up with the company, and the stack does matter. When you're trying to break in, it doesn't matter as much when you're 3 years into this and you've had 3 jobs. They'll just assume that you can pick up the next thing. But for whatever reason, if you don't have 1 year experience on your resume and they're hiring junior devs, they want to see experience in the stack they're using. They want you to be productive on day one, and they feel like the easiest way is to hire someone that has a little bit of Java in college instead of 3 projects in C#. But if they're C#, it's going to be the same. The inverse is true. If we're interviewing for C# roles, you're going to have a significant advantage interviewing for a C# role if you have C# in your portfolio. So that stack does matter. It needs to line up. And then when you talk to people that says it doesn't matter, just ask them how long they've been doing it.
Yeah, because it's been a while.
That's for 10 years. I know what I'm talking about. You're right. For you, it's true. It doesn't matter. You may know 8 or 9 languages by that point, but if you're just trying to break in, you need to pick a stack, and the best way to break in is pick a stack and line that up with a bunch of employers. And that's why we pick C# because it's in such high demand. It's easier to break into. There's more roles out there.
Yep.
So
definitely. Footy. New here. Awesome. Thank you for joining us and watching. It's awesome. Please want us to one of the best front-end frameworks one can study in 2020. What's your front-end framework suggestion?
So obviously that's going to be JavaScript. So you definitely need to know vanilla JavaScript for sure. I think what he's asking, should I learn Angular?
What on top of that? Exactly. Yeah.
I don't really care. And I think there's 3 really good ones out there right now: Angular, React, and Vue. I like Vue because it's lightweight and you can pick in pieces of it. And it works really well with something like a C# backend. But if you're looking in wherever you're at and you see a lot of React jobs, learn React. If you see a lot of Angular jobs, learn Angular.
Yep. Comes back to the same point up front, doesn't it? Aligning it to the company, where you want to go. That's what you want to learn.
But I would say stick with one, learn it thoroughly, build a project with it, show it, get a job, then learn the second one.
Don't put all 3 on your resume knowing one bit of each.
You listen to Twitter and everyone's going to say React's the best. And then you're going to see Twitter and they'll say Angular's dying. And then tomorrow you'll say Angular's the best and React's dying. And so it just depends on who you're talking to. I would say Vue is my favorite right now, but it's probably not the most in demand. I'm just doing that based on what I think and how I feel. I don't really have it. I haven't really run stats against that, but all of those will be pretty beneficial.
If you look at those articles about languages dying, JavaScript died about 85 times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's every other day.
Yeah.
And it's not.
JavaScript for front end. So you're going to do that. And then there's always jQuery and other things out there too.
Yep.
So.
Well, this is true. Well, Chris said, we'll hire your own students and you know what they can do.
We do.
That's exactly true.
Yeah, exactly.
That does happen. That totally happens.
I've got one working on a mobile project right now. He's working right now. So we do. And typically they stay here for a while and then sometimes they get other roles, but we've hired a bunch.
Yep. And I love the project he's working on. I'm not going to talk about exactly what it is, but it's super cool. It's a mobile project with proprietary hardware, which is super fun. It's super good. I think it's
he's doing a great job.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Here you go. Adam says, can you talk about why people get so hung up on what is the best thing to learn when starting?
Yeah, I think why they get hung up on it is because they're trying to like making sure they're not making a mistake in their learning journey and feeling like I'm going down a rabbit hole that I'm not going to be able to find a job with. I think that's the problem with it. And then when you talk to people, coders specifically, have a lot of opinions, and that doesn't necessarily reflect reality all the time of like how many people are using C# and Java.
We've talked about developers' opinions a lot in the past on other videos.
It doesn't mean that they're not going to shape opinion. It doesn't mean that 5 years from now that might be the hot thing that everyone's using. But right now, if you're trying to break in, things like Rust it's not the way to go. I'm not saying Rust is bad. I'm just saying that aren't as many roles right now today.
Yeah,
there's a ton of ASP.NET and full stack web dev roles right now today. That's the one.
But a lot of developers will tell you that like Rust is the best language or their favorite language. Yeah. And then we've had this analogy before. Then you'll ask them, yeah, but what do you actually do at work? And they'll be like, oh, it's Java or C#. Like, okay.
Right. And then I tell you this though, and I will say this though, like, Rust and whatever, Rust has its things and it has its uses, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's really cool. But I would say that what would probably happen if everyone was using Rust, something else would come back, and then
yes. Yeah, 100%. You gotta be the cutting edge.
Cutting edge, or doing something new and doing different. So like a 10-year vet isn't the best person to ask. Just look at what employers are hiring for. That's the best thing that you can do to learn. And we've just telling you, man, ASP.NET C# is pretty good. So, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Michael said he's taking an unpaid internship in the US, requires 10 hours a week. I guess he's also in school. That's super cool. Hoping to get a paid one for next summer, though. So that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So you're still in school, and I get it. And if that works for you, I just don't like those 40-hour-a-week full-time internships for 6 months, where you don't get jack.
Yeah. Just the other thing too is, even though it's unpaid, leverage your connections there too. Yeah, make sure that you get connected with people. Make sure you linked in with people that are there. Become social with the group that's there. You'll get more out of it than nothing.
And then that saves you some money if it counts as a software elective, so you don't have to take that class.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah, I get it. Some colleges require this too.
Habibul wants to know C++ or C#. Which one will get me in Microsoft? It's interesting.
It depends. I mean, C# can.
C# can. We've seen it. We've had people from our boot camp go there, and we teach C#.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that they do. They have the LEAP program. I think that's still going on. You can look it up.
Yeah, it is.
LEAP. And that's their boot camp. So a lot of CF grads have went from our boot camp into theirs. Their boot camp is paid. You do have to relocate at the time to Redmond. I'm not sure if they're doing a remote now. And then after that boot camp, you could they bring in the individual teams to review your work, and if you did good, you can get an offer. It's several people that have gotten offers to work on different areas in Microsoft. Microsoft is very, very big. It's way bigger than you think. I heard Scott Hansel examine it. It's like 1,000 separate companies, and he's true. They all have different budgets and different goals. So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, there's a dev team in Charlotte that one of the co-founder grads went to, and they're doing internal finance for Microsoft. So like they're building things in C# and SQL, integrating with SAP and things like that. So they're doing like businessy type projects that aren't like their customer facing products. And then there's the Visual Studio team, and then there's like, the SQL team and Xbox, and there's a lot of things.
But like Scott said internally, when he said last Friday, he was like, yeah, I know the few people that are in my division. I don't know anybody else. Like, it's a company of a massive amount of employees, hundreds of thousands, and he knows a few hundred.
Yeah, I think either one of those you could probably break in with. But I would say this, don't limit your whole goal to get into Microsoft. I mean, like, just learn how to code and get a job. I mean, Microsoft is great. It's a great company, but it shouldn't be your one only target. It should be, you should have like, just breaking in is the thing that you want to do and get paid. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
Yep. This is interesting. The Indian government has issued an open challenge to developers to build a video conference app. That's interesting.
Okay.
10 million rupees. I don't know what that correlates to. Which tech we need to build such an app, and how much will it cost to build? Not about the cost or the tech. I mean, it could be anything, right? Depends.
So you're talking about a Zoom competitor?
That would be my guess. Yeah. Could you build Zoom?
Could I?
Yeah.
I think I could.
Okay.
The problem is hosting Zoom. I mean, really. I mean, like, you know, building out a webcam and then, building a USB interface or something like that. It would take some research for me because I've never done it, but it's definitely possible to do. I don't think it's like extraordinary powers to build like a Zoom competitor. The problem is it probably costs like millions of dollars to host it.
Yeah, that would be my guess too. Yeah, all the money's on that side.
Yeah, so and there's a lot of those apps out there. I'm not sure why the Indian government's doing that challenge, but there's a lot of those apps out there. Doesn't mean you shouldn't build one. So you got Zoom, you got Teams. I looked at some video conferencing ones the other day, which is kind of interesting. They broke it up into tables. So like if you're at an actual conference, you would you're put into these mini meeting rooms, like 6 people, and you could talk to them while you're at this conference. So if you're sitting at a table at a conference, you'd be sitting around 8 or 6 people.
That was interesting.
But it was kind of like, 20 Zoom rooms and then there's a keynote speaker up front talking.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So you could have a conversation with the people that are sitting around, and then you could move from table to table, and it had a little like game type interface, And then they had one that was looking at like it looked like offices, and so you had like offices, so you had your office layout in it, and you could knock on a door in the little.
Okay.
It looked like one of those kids games, where you're like moving from room to room, like top down.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you would knock on the door, and they would let you in, and that would launch like a Zoom call, like we're having right now, something like that.
Oh wow. Okay, that's interesting. So they're trying to take physical things and bring them into a digital.
Yeah. So maybe that's what the Indian government wants to build. But all of that based around your ability to take a webcam and stream it out, and then you have there's a definite standard for these endpoints that that your streaming endpoint has to receive, and so you have to have a hosting vendor that can accept streams. And there's a lot of companies that already do that. So building the app is only the first part of it. It's like where you stream it, which AWS and Azure all do it. So
but I think that's where all the money goes. That's where you're going to spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Casper, hey Casper, thanks for the question. I want to make my portfolio site to have animation, colors, drag and drop, all the good stuff. Will it make my site load slower?
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. You should be able to make that fast though.
Yeah, I think most things these days, that fancy front end stuff, it's pretty quick. It's not like it used to be.
I would need more information, but I mean, the more code you have, the more JS libraries you have, the more it can load slower.
And I think these days, slower is such a relative term too. Slower means milliseconds slower, generally.
But just make it kind of cool, and it's kind of cool. Yeah. Focus on the front end, make it look good.
Let's see. TCV investments. When should we start applying for jobs?
Today.
As soon as you have something to show,
and you've got stuff to do it, I don't see why don't wait for the economy to reopen. People are still hiring. So you just got to find the few that still are and apply for those jobs. So I'm assuming you're in the US. And that's a question about COVID. So we're right now calling companies right now and just trying to find opportunities for people. So we have a hiring event today. We had one last Friday. So we're just trying to find those companies that are still hiring. So now's the time to make contacts. You may even make a contact this week that says we're going to hire, May 15th or June 1. But if you start looking in June 1, those positions will be filled. So right now, the work you do today will pay off tomorrow. So start today and looking around if you're ready to enter the job market.
a couple of language things. A friend Alex Lee, CoffeeScript, kind of dead, right? You ever do anything with that?
I never did, but yeah, kind of.
You don't hear about it anymore, do you?
I'm sure, now I'm probably gonna get like 1,000 quotes like this whole life. But like, just like I was talking to one of our instructors, Jason, the other day, and he has a friend that's like a diehard Fox Pro guy, and it's like, what
wow,
are you doing?
okay.
Know? There are some languages that have died. I mean, like, so if you're trying to break in, stay mainstream and then branch out. So
yep, another language I've never heard of, if you have either. Malbolge? No. That's the thing. Too many of these things.
Yeah,
I've never heard of most of them.
unless it does something like specific, like it's targeted towards a specific set of problems. It solves a specific thing.
Yep.
So
here you go. Douglas says, so my own membership site, I want to integrate open source video conferencing. So it's a WordPress site. Will this be relevant as part of my portfolio?
Yeah, if you can pull it off, man. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, like, so yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, open source video conferencing. Okay. So someone has already figured that out, and you're just going to integrate it.
Yeah, here you go. So looking at
I haven't heard of that one.
I haven't either.
A lot of these streamers you just give it your address where you want it to stream to, and they can stream to that website. But those typically are very expensive. But if you're rolling your own and you're building the entire thing, then you got to figure out how to get your webcam data stream integrated from your laptop out to your endpoint. So, and then you code your website to look at that endpoint.
Here's the reason the Indian government wants their own thing, suspicious of the servers based in China. I've seen a lot of criticism of Zoom recently around the privacy stuff.
I feel you, man. Like,
a lot of companies here did quit using it.
Yeah.
A lot of big companies did. So it's kind of interesting.
So if you're doing something secret or you want to be kept private and you don't want it shared, yeah, that's a problem with all of these cloud-based things, especially if it's based in China.
Michael wants to know, is graduating next year, 2021, with a CS degree? That's awesome. Congrats. What fields in software engineering are and will be needed most in the next couple of years? Sort of what we're talking about.
Yeah, breaking in. I think you're going to see web dev obviously is going to continue to be strong, and cross-platform mobile dev. You can look at really 3 or 4 main areas, but I think web dev right now and next year is going to be still pretty hot. And then you can look at cross-platform mobile dev as the other one. You can look at cloud services, or doing something specifically with like service layer integrations on clouds, but that kind of flows into full stack web dev and mobile dev too. So all those fields will be pretty strong. So that's where I would focus on the best chance of breaking in. So that's cool. CS degree, man. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. Super cool.
All right.
Yes. Let's do the last thing. What's our last thing on our thing before I do any more questions?
Yeah. So basically once you've, we talked about learning how to learn how to do that. And so like what a lot of people do is they'll spend doing tutorials for like 9 months to a year. And what I want you to do is shorten that time, take a tutorial or a couple of tutorials, and then start building a project that's not based on the tutorial. So like translate the tutorial into a new project, and then learn everything you need to do to finish your project out. And so use tutorials to complete your project. But you do need tutorials to just get you going. If you know nothing whatsoever and I don't have any idea how any of this works, then start with some tutorials. But I don't want you to spend 5 years in tutorial purgatory, which we see a lot of people do, and they never graduate to building a project. So build a project and use the tutorials as the information you need to build that project, and teach yourself how to code. And if that doesn't work for you, then you may need to think about like attending a boot camp or going to a college, a 2-year degree or something like that. But definitely tutorials for 6 months, maybe. Try to build a project, see how far you go.
Yeah. So it's about learning something and then applying it.
Right? So I think the abstract application of something you learned seeds the way that you do it. So that's the way we teach it at Coder Foundry, that we're going to show you some stuff, and then we're going to require you to build some things. And you're supposed to take the stuff we showed you and translate that into a bug tracker. We show you how to build a blog. then we ask you to build a bug tracker, and you need to take that experience and translate it into the other project. And that solidifies the learning in your mind. When you can take another concept, you've got this concept, and you abstractly apply it to the other concept, it just helps you learn it so much quicker. It's kind of like watching a tutorial on anything. Like if you're video editing and you do something exactly the same as they did it, you really didn't learn anything. You copied it. But if you took that tutorial and then I made something new and different, then you learn.
Yep. 100%.
Typically, it won't be exactly the same. It's a little bit of difference, a little bit of nuance. And that nuance, when you understand the nuance, that's when you're really kind of learning.
Okay. Here's a question from Steen. I like this one. What are some signs you're ready to get a job? When do you know enough?
You build a project. I think if you've got a project built, and then you can start interviewing. If they hire you, you're ready.
Yeah. I think people often wait too long, right?
Yeah, man. Like, you're not going to know it all. You never will. And like, these junior roles are available. And then get them to pay you to learn the rest. Show them enough that you're committed to the role, you're committed to your craft, and start interviewing. Rejection's going to come. You're going to get a lot of no's, but you just need one yes, one person to answer yes, and you can get a job. Trust me, I've seen 5-year senior vets that I don't know how they're still in it, but it's because they have a career built up. They're not really good at it anymore. So I think that's it.
Okay, this relates to our previous sort of point too. We did a video the other day about books and books we recommend. Would you recommend studying from a set curriculum like a book, or is it generally okay to learn through experience of building lots of projects?
Yep. So like,
the books have to be a jumping off point, right?
Yeah, there is nothing that can replace you building your own project. You'll learn so much more than following someone else's project in a book, even if the book is project based. You need to take that project, convert it to something else, and you'll learn a lot more. And then when you're showing a custom built project, employers will say, hey, you know what? This guy built something on his own. That's not Yelp Camp. That is something else. Whereas if you build the same project everyone else is from an online course, then you look like everyone else and they assume that you just copied it. So like, that's why I'm saying also from a marketing standpoint, of marketing yourself as a developer, build your own project that you can show off. And I know we recommend building a bug tracker, but ultimately that's going to be your bug tracker. No one's going to go online. Well, they probably could, but we're not like expressly giving away the software to build the bug tracker. We want you to build that. We want you to say, what do I need to know to build a bug tracker? How does authorization work? How does databases work? How's the front end work? All those things you'll learn and understand, and then you build a bug tracker, and then you show it off to somebody. So that's kind of that's our approach to this whole thing.
Yep. Boris has a question. Do you think ERP systems worth learning today, specifically one offered by Microsoft?
You can make a living doing that. Salesforce, yeah, all those. If that's where you want to go, just know that you're tying your whole livelihood to a particular product, which is okay. But I know Salesforce integrators make money.
Definitely.
Microsoft, Great Plains, and whatever they call it. They can change the name every day, but like whatever they call it now. So like yes, definitely.
This is a great problem to have. This has got to be a good problem. I'm a .NET dev stuck in contract for another year and change. Do you think other companies will be willing to pay fees related to breaking the contract if they hire me?
Where do you work?
There must be an out in the contract, I guess.
Are you in the U.S.?
Is that a common thing or no then?
No, that's not common in the U.S. You can just get up and leave.
Okay.
Contracts are at will employment mostly across the U.S. where you can just leave. You've made a commitment to a company for a year. What's funny is the company necessarily doesn't have to keep that commitment, and you feel like you're obligated to do that, and you may burn a bridge. But I don't think any company is going to pay another company to hire you unless that's different overseas. And that could be a common thing in Europe or somewhere. I'd like curious to see where you're at, Dre. Yeah.
And if they are, like, you can get a company if you're good at it.
I don't know.
But if that's an out in the contract, you can convince another company to pay for that because you've proved that you're good at your job, then
I would
it's a
say
good problem
that
to have,
the
surely.
US are mostly at will and contracts, which means that either party can leave. Now they may not be happy when you leave, but you can leave. You're not bound or and bound to that company. But it could be something different in another, like you have a non-compete or something. I don't know.
Right.
Sounds like you want to get out though.
It does.
But it's COVID, man. If you're working, I would kind of like, unless
write it out for now.
I would kind of stick with what I got right now.
Yep. Still a couple more, and then we'll get off here, grab lunch. What is the future of VB and .NET?
They're still supporting it, but here's how you can view Microsoft. Like, if you go to a Microsoft site and they're saying, "Hey, learn ASP.NET Core, 3," or "Here's the .NET 5 preview," and you'll see the language that they're pushing out right now, C#, and they'll have a little tab. Sometimes it'll say VB.NET, but most of the documentation is going to push all the developers to C#. That is their primary language. Are they going to support VB for a long time? I think they are, but like, it wouldn't surprise me either if they ended support for it one day. But right now, currently, they're both supported languages in .NET. I think C# are more demand than VB. You might see a lot of VB projects that are being converted to C#. But I started out with VB.NET, and then I converted to C# in 2002.
Never looked back.
Never look back. So, like, just go with what people are paying you to do. So,
yep, there you go. Tracer's in the US. Oh, with Revature.
I've heard of Revature. Yeah, it's a consulting company.
So their contract must have a clause in it that you can't. I don't know. That's
I'm not an attorney, man. Like Dre, I don't know, but I'm just telling you, like, most contracts are at will contracts, and you can leave and go work somewhere else if you want to.
Yeah, you probably should figure that out if you really do.
Yeah, I mean, I would,
But right now, if you have a job though,
you've got to pay to leave, or someone's got to pay you to leave. That doesn't sound right. But
well, Chris says here, corporate contracts that bind like that. Shadowrun, here we are. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing.
Yeah. If you're in corp to corp and like you're on a they paid you money up front, I guess that could happen.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something like that. But like, if you're just an hourly contractor and you're working 40 hours a week, and you're not bound by some kind of like specification or work order or something like that they paid you up front for, I think you can leave.
Because I'm sure it works the other way, right? They can let you go.
They can fire you. I promise you. I promise you, they're not going to keep you there a year and a half if you just watch YouTube all day. I mean, like, they're just. I mean, they're going to fire you. So like, it's and most of the times in U.S., what I'd say it works. It cuts both ways. Both parties can leave, but there may be some kind of special circumstance in a contract that I'm not aware of. So I don't know.
Yep. Okay. I think we're actually just over, so let's
we're going to code live tomorrow, so hopefully you guys can show up. And the art form of live coding, this is the first time I've done it, so like we'll try to make it interesting.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And I'm just using JavaScript, so like and I'll be using just plain vanilla JavaScript, no jQuery. So
awesome.
A little bit of Bootstrap. But just solving a like a coding challenge type thing, and it'll be pretty cool. I think the project is going to be pretty interesting, and it gives you plenty of jumping off points to go to.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
A couple of things then, before we wrap up.
Yeah.
If you want to send us anything, info@coderfoundry.com.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to send. If you want to send a portfolio in or something, or you want to design. We asked yesterday for people to design a background for us. If you want to do a background.
Yeah.
1080, 1920 by 1080 background.
Put it on the show.
We'll put it on.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And if you got a YouTube channel and you're out there and you want and you're in the tech space and you want to come on, send something to Info and Kevin, and we can talk about getting you on the show here. We'd like to be a good community partner here. And if you've got a channel with, and you're trying to get more viewers for it, we can do whatever we can to help you out. That
would be super cool. Definitely.
Yeah, just be ready to take a quiz of some sort in pop culture. Star Wars trivia.
I mean, we'll do that.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
May 4th.
Yeah.
Then our video appears on the Disney Channel.
Exactly. Yeah. All of a sudden we're on. Yeah. Exactly. They've claimed rights to it.
Right.
That's funny.
All right, guys. Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow. Good luck and keep coding. Thanks. Please subscribe to us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon. See ya.